Too Deep had always greeted the world with quiet grace. That evening, she began the same way. Hello everyone. Wishing you all good health and peace in life. But beneath her calm lay the weight of a moment neither she nor James wanted to face. It was a farewell wrapped in silence. CEO James's last act of love for her before leaving Vietnam. He spoke little, yet every glance was heavy with unsaid words. It was as though voicing them would make the goodbye irreversible. Ahead of him was a journey to Cambodia, into the chaotic heart of a business crisis. And hanging in the air, like an unshakable shadow, was the question neither dared answer. Would this be the last time he saw her, or would fate, in its quiet way, find a path to bring them back together? A night suspended in stillness. The night was unusually quiet, the kind of stillness that feels as though the world itself is holding its breath. James sat in his car for a long moment outside her dimly lit house. Tomorrow, he would board a plane bound for Cambodia. The task awaiting him was daunting. 2 companies his father had built over a lifetime now teetering on the edge of collapse. No one could tell him how long he'd be gone. No one could promise he would ever come back. And that single thought lodged deep in his chest. Will this be the last time I see Too Deep? The call that changed everything. Earlier that day, his mother had broken the news. The call from his father had been urgent, almost desperate. Both companies were in freefall. His presence was no longer optional, it was the only hope left. His mother had suggested, gently, that perhaps his father should close the businesses and return to Vietnam to live with family. But his father refused without hesitation. This is my life's work. I cannot abandon it. James understood. He, too, had dreams he could not surrender. But this time, those dreams came at the cost of leaving Too Deep behind. The kitchenware goodbye began. That evening, James stepped into the small, warm kitchen of his mother's home. She reminded him to see Too Deep before he left. She's building the new farm you designed for her, she said softly. Spend one last evening together. Who knows when you'll be back? By the time James arrived, the sun had long dipped behind the mountains. The air carried the scent of fresh bamboo shoots and the faint chatter of chickens from the yard. Too Deep wasn't home yet. She had gone to buy more chicken feed. When she returned, she smiled apologetically, a small bag in hand. I'm sorry I'm late, she said, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. I didn't want the chickens to go hungry. James had already prepared dinner, steamed rice, stir-fried vegetables, a bit of meat. They ate together, and for a while, it felt almost normal. But Too Deep noticed the heaviness in his eyes, the pauses in his smile. The words he didn't want to say. "Something's wrong," she said quietly. James set his chopsticks down. "I have to tell you something. Tomorrow morning, I'm leaving for Cambodia. My father's companies are in serious trouble. If I don't go, they might go bankrupt. I don't know when I'll be back." For a moment, she said nothing. Then she reached across the table and took his hand. "Go," she whispered. "Do what you have to do." "I'll be here waiting, no matter how long it takes." Her words should have comforted him. Instead, they deepened the ache in his heart. "I'm afraid," he admitted. "Afraid that if I'm gone too long, I'll lose you." "You won't," she said firmly. "Even if it's 1 month, 1 year, or many years, I'll still be here." The night before. That night, they talked of the future, the farm she would finish in his absence, the small things they would do together when he returned. He told her to take care of herself, to never push her health too far. Tears, he reminded her softly, are only for those who love you. Never cry in front of people who wish you harm. When they finally lay down to sleep, Too Deep wrapped her arms around him as if sheer will could keep him from leaving. James closed his eyes, memorizing the warmth of her body, the scent of her hair, the rhythm of her breathing. Morning would come too soon. Dawn's quiet cruelty. The first pale light of dawn slipped through the curtains. James opened his eyes to find her still asleep, her hand clutching his. He didn't want to wake her. For a long moment, he simply watched, committing every detail to memory. The curve of her lips, the strand of hair across her cheek, the faint scent of jasmine from her pillow. But the clock would not wait. He brushed the hair from her face and whispered, "I'll be back." Too Deep. "I promise." She opened her eyes. For a heartbeat, she looked at him as though trying to convince herself this was only a bad dream. But she didn't cry. Instead, she rose and helped him gather his things. "The sooner you go, the sooner you'll come back," she said, her voice steady though her hands trembled. The gate between them. They walked together to the small front gate. The air was cool, scented with earth and morning dew. "Take care of yourself," James said, tightening the strap on his bag. "Don't overwork." "Let Lynn and my mother help you with the farm. And remember." "I know," she interrupted softly. "Tears are only for those I love. I'll save them for when you come back." He smiled, though his chest felt heavy, and pulled her into one last embrace, so tight it felt as though they could defy the world and stay like this forever. Then, reluctantly, he stepped away, in the air, into uncertainty. The ride to the airport felt endless. His phone buzzed once. Too Deep's message, "I'll be waiting." Always, he read it again and again until the plane lifted off, Vietnam shrinking below him into clouds and uncertainty. Cambodia. The battlefront. The crisis hit him instantly. The companies were worse off than he had imagined, contracts lost, suppliers gone, workers demanding unpaid wages. Days blurred into nights of tense negotiations and sleepless hours over spreadsheets and bank statements. Yet every evening, his mind wandered back to that small house, the chickens in the yard, and the woman who had promised to wait. The shadow of sabotage. One evening, after yet another failed investor meeting, James noticed a troubling pattern. Investment capital had been withdrawn suddenly. Contracts were cancelled without cause. Suppliers vanished overnight. This wasn't bad luck, it was sabotage. And the perpetrator? An old rival of his father's, a man known for playing dirty and waiting years to strike. The threat to Too Deep. Among the evidence was a chilling message. If the business doesn't break him, the girl will. There was no doubt who the girl meant. James's first instinct was to fly home immediately. But leaving now meant returning empty-handed, with no guarantee the threat would end. A decision forged in rain. That night, on his hotel balcony, the warm Cambodian air was thick with the scent of rain. He thought of Too Deep's quiet strength, her trust in him. She didn't know how close danger had come. Maybe it was better that way. He decided he would stay. He would fight this battle to its end, then return, victorious and unbroken. The question that wouldn't leave. As the rain began to fall, another question settled in his chest. When this is over, will Too Deep still be waiting, or will distance, silence, and danger pull her away? Some battles, James knew, were not fought with contracts or strategies. Some were fought in the heart.